Olen is a municipality in the Kempen region of Belgium's Antwerp province, with about 12,900 inhabitants and an area of 23.12 square kilometers, located between major waterways, roads, and the historic Iron Rhine rail line. The municipal coat of arms, dating from 1780, is quartered and features a golden 5-point star and 3 silver diagonal bars on a blue field. These elements reflect both the historical influence of the Merode family, who from the 14th to the 18th century governed the area, and Saint Martin of Tours, the municipality's patron saint, a Roman soldier who compassionately cut his cloak in half to share with a freezing beggar. The stained glass at the town hall also features the coats of arms of the Duchy of Brabant and the province of Antwerp, whilst a glass cabinet displays replicas of the legendary pot with 3 handles, a story traditionally linked to a visit by Emperor Charles V. When the emperor was expected to visit the village, the people of Olen wanted to present him with a drinking pot that reflected refined manners. First they made a pot with a single handle, but the innkeeper held the pot by that very handle, preventing the emperor from taking it properly. Hence, on his next visit the pot was fitted with 2 handles, yet once again the innkeeper held it by both handles at the same time, leaving none free for the emperor to grasp. The villagers therefore made a 3rd pot, with 3 handles. However, the attempt failed once more. The innkeeper held the pot in such a way that the 3rd handle faced his own body while his hands covered the other 2. As a result, the emperor was once again unable to grasp a single handle. This legend earned the people of Olen the nickname the Triangular Farmers and continues to be commemorated through local shop names, monuments, and artistic works. In 1801, 60 native lime trees were planted around the village square of Olen-Centre to replace an exotic oak planted during the French period as a liberty tree. The square has retained its historic spatial structure and remains one of the few in the Kempen region to preserve its traditional layout. The statue The Family, unveiled in 1994 to commemorate the 1000th anniversary of Olen, was created by local sculptor Jos Wouters and donated by Union Minière. The presbytery of Olen-Centre was built in 1769, likely replacing an earlier parish house, as the parish itself has existed for over 1,000 years. This former Norbertine presbytery, once surrounded by a moat, is a protected monument and was inhabited by a parish priest until 2001. In the presbytery, parish life during the French period came together under increasingly strict control from the revolutionary authorities. In 1798, during the Peasants' War, local unrest arose in Olen, as in the rest of the Kempen region, in response to conscription, paxes, and anti-clerical measures. The presbytery remained a central place in the village community during a period of tension and uncertainty. Adrian Halen, born 1745, a Norbertine from the Abbey of Tongolo active in the region, is mentioned in tradition in connection with this context of Catholic resistance and was later arrested and exiled by the French authorities, in line with the broader persecution of clergy during that period. Next, we arrive at the sculpture group the Triangular Farmers of Olen. Besides commemorating the legend of the pot with 3 handles, the monument also depicts other local folk tales, including the story of the cow on the roof. When grass began growing in the gutter of St. Martin's Church, the villagers decided to hoist a cow up towards the roof, using a pulley. As the cow gasped for breath and stuck out its tongue during the ascent, its owner enthusiastically exclaimed, "Look, she's already licking her lips," when in fact the animal was suffocating. The monument represents the most well-known legends of Olen, including Emperor Charles V and his pot with 3 handles. They thus immortalize the liberating humor that is so typical of these imperial tales. The sculpture group was created by the Olen artist Jos Wouters on the occasion of the Emperor Charles V year in 1994, and was officially unveiled on August 6, 2000. Another well-known legend tells how the villagers wished to welcome the emperor with the finest rice pudding in the country. However, when the mayor tripped and dropped his bowl at the emperor's feet, the other councillors assumed they should do the same. What followed was a chaotic scene of falling bowls, flying rice pudding and villagers imitating one another, a spectacle so absurd that the emperor burst into laughter. Even more absurd is the legend of moving the church. The inhabitants of Saint Joseph Olen attempted to push their church to a more central location because they felt it had been built in the wrong place. While everyone was straining against the building, one farmer's coat was stolen. When he could no longer find it, he suggested pushing the church back again because he believed his coat was still trapped underneath it. These folk tales form an important part of the municipality's identity and are widely known throughout the region. It is late spring, and this green village is bursting with life and color. The trees are at different stages of the season, some still adorned with delicate blossoms, while others have already exchanged their flowers for developing fruit. A cherry tree stands laden with clusters of nearly ripe cherries. Their glossy skins are rich deep red as they approach maturity, hanging heavily among the lush green leaves. Rows of grapevines stretch across a garden, their fresh green foliage interspersed with delicate flower clusters that herald the beginning of the grape-growing season. The 3 residential districts of Olen in Antwerp province, Olen-Centre, Achter-Olen, or Our Lady of Olen, and Saint Joseph Olen, each correspond to a historic parish with its own church. Each church also has a cemetery, and there are monuments to war victims at all 3 churchyards. The St. Martinus Church serves as the parish church of Olen-Centre and is located in the neighborhood to the village square. The church features a late Romanesque sandstone tower on its western side, dating from around 1400. The church is surrounded by a well-maintained garden with flower beds, grasses, and ornamental shrubs, creating a calm and cared-for green setting around the building. The choir, characterized by buttresses and pointed arch windows, is built in late Gothic brickwork from the 15th or 16th century in a local Kempen style. The side aisles, added around 1776, reflect a more classical architectural influence. The interior contains notable elements including late Gothic wooden sculptures, Baroque portal altars, and a Rococo pulpit. The church is particularly noteworthy for retaining its adjacent churchyard, a relatively rare feature in Flanders. It has been a protected listed monument since July 25, 1986. The adjoining cemetery, which contains both civilian graves and war memorial sections, is likewise carefully maintained, reflecting respect for both local community heritage and those who lost their lives in conflict. People not only come here to pay their respects but also to enjoy the quiet atmosphere, and benches are placed throughout the grounds, offering places for rest and reflection. Our next stop is the Church of Our Lady of Olen in Achter-Olen, formerly the parish church of this district. Built in 1865 to 1866 to a design by Johann van Gastel, it is a neo-Gothic brick basilica with a slender spire. In 2018, the church was deconsecrated and is being converted into the future administrative centre of Olen, while retaining the adjacent cemetery. The Saint Joseph Church is a neo-Romanesque church built in 1923 and consecrated in 1925 in Saint Joseph Olen, a parish village that developed shortly before the church itself. It lies within a workers' settlement established for employees of the nearby company Industrielle Union factory. Although plans were drawn up in 1914, construction was delayed by the First World War. The church was designed by Chrétien Guillaume Verrat and Ernest Richier, and features a projecting entrance bay, a 7-bay nave, side choirs with round arch friezes, and a profiled round arch portal. A partly walled and partly hedged churchyard lies adjacent to the building. The church cemetery contains both civilian graves and war victims, reflecting the local community's everyday life as well as its wartime history. Carefully maintained and set within a quiet, green environment, it serves both as a place of remembrance and as a peaceful resting place for generations of residents. Industrial development accelerated in the 19th and early 20th centuries with the construction of canals and railways, and particularly with the establishment in 1912 of Union Minière du Haut-Katanga, which contributed to the development of Saint Joseph Olen and the workers' settlement known as the Olense Cité. A pyramid-shaped monument made of copper, designed and created by employees of Umicore, formerly Union Minière, was erected in 1988 to mark the 75th anniversary of the parish of Saint Joseph Olen. The copper plates on the monument depict the history of the parish as well as the history of Union Minière. The monument also shows the districts and hamlets that belong to the parish. One of Olen's best-known historic landmarks is the Buj Mullan, a windmill first mentioned in 1362. Originally standing at another location, it had to make way for the construction of the Albert Canal in 1936. The mill was carefully dismantled and rebuilt on the grounds of the North Castle Fortress in Antwerp, where it remained for half a century. In 1986 it was dismantled once again and, following an extensive restoration, returned to Olen in 2003, where it once more serves as a prominent local landmark. The Buj Mullan is a post mill, a traditional type of windmill in which the entire wooden body is mounted on a single vertical post, allowing the whole structure to be rotated to face the wind. A post mill is turned manually using a tail pole and wheel system. This makes it one of the earliest and most characteristic forms of European windmill design, historically used for grinding grain and other agricultural purposes. The rotating body of a post mill is typically locked in position using a tail pole and brake or other locking mechanisms, sometimes including stop blocks or pins, to prevent unwanted movement in strong winds.